Hare Krishna. So we'll discuss today from chapter 2, verse 21 and 22. Verse 21. Veda vinashinam nityam yayenam ajamavyayam katam sapurusha partha kam gatayati hantikam. Translation. O Partha, how can a person who knows that the soul is indestructible, eternal, unborn and immutable kill anyone or cause anyone to kill? So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada makes a few important points. So he's saying, man in complete knowledge knows how and where to apply a thing for its proper utility. Similarly, violence also has its utility, and how to apply violence rests with the person in knowledge. So everything has a proper utility. So we have to do yukta vairagya. We have to use everything appropriately in the service of Krishna. So similarly here, Arjuna was engaged in a situation of violence, but that also had to be used in the service of Krishna, because that is the proper utility of any specific thing. So, and for that, what is required is that we come in knowledge. So unless we are in knowledge, then we won't know how to use things. And Srila Prabhupada actually comments elsewhere saying that, we can only understand this if we are under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master who can actually help us understand how to practice Yukta Vairagya in life. Now, Prabhupada is giving an example of a murderer. Murderer is killed, so the king's punishment was beneficial, as a person does not have to suffer for the great sin in the next life. And he also says that Manu Samhita is the law book for mankind. But unfortunately, Kali Yuga is running on democracy, demon crazy, like Prabhupada said, man-made laws and ignoring Lord's injunctions in various shastras like Manu Samhita, etc. And so the whole world is going to dogs. So today people will say, okay, how can a person be hanged or killed? Even if he has murdered somebody, you have to have compassionate grounds and this and that and all kinds of arguments. But it's very clear that it's actually beneficial, because otherwise he has to suffer a lot more in the next life, and that is all avoided by following the king's punishment. And then he says, when Krishna orders something, then it is for supreme justice. So when one is engaged in the service of Krishna, whatever is done, subsequent verses we say, whether it is good or bad from material perspective, it is, if it is coming clearly from orders of Krishna, which means that orders of Guru, then it has to be done as direct orders from Krishna, because that is for supreme justice. So there is nothing really wrong or right when it is done for Krishna, as in from a material perspective, right? And so it's important to understand that we have to bring a Krishna conscious perspective to everything which is so-called material, because there's nothing material as such, and figure out how everything can be used in the service of Krishna. And in that, when we're looking at things in that way, things which are normally right from material perspective might be wrong, and those that which might be materially wrong might be right. So akarma, one who sees akarma in karma and karma in akarma, right? So a very important verse from practical application perspective. Verse 22. Vasamshi jirnani yatha vihaya navani grinhati naroparani tatha sharirani vihaya jirnani anyani samyati navani dehi. As a person puts on new garments, giving up old ones, the soul similarly accepts new material bodies, giving up old and useless ones. So first, Srila Prabhupada is talking about how change of the body is an accepted fact. Accepted both from in Vedic circles as well, even modern science, they accept that the body is changing continuously, because you have to go to one doctor when you're a child, then you have to go to another doctor maybe when you have grown up, etc., etc., and they see that the body is changing, growing from child to boyhood, boyhood to youth, and so on. right now. But they cannot explain that there is a soul, that is a source of energy, etc., etc. But they have to still accept that changes are happening, though they don't know what is the reason for those change or what is the energy behind the change. And he says that then subsequently soul goes into another body, and this is transmigration of soul, and this transference is made possible by the grace of the super soul. Now here some very important points Srila Prabhupada makes in the purport. He says super soul fulfills the desire of the atomic soul as one friend fulfills the desire of another. So first of all, super soul is our friend. Now super soul is in our heart, who is our friend, and we are completely ignoring the indications, directions from the super soul because we are materially conditioned. Now, but it's still whether we recognize him or not, super soul still is the one who fulfills the desire of the atomic soul. So if so here another important point is that atomic soul desires, right? It's a soul, we desire. So it is the quality of our desire which is the most important. Akarma karma um, so we should, whether we are doing akarma, karma or vikarma, that desire to do that activity is coming from us, right? And super soul fulfills the desire, uh, and just like one friend fulfills the desire of another. So he's our friend, he fulfills our desire. Of course, Supreme Lord has given us all the Shastra, etc., so that we can change our thinking, make it more aligned to Vedic way of life, etc., so that our desires are more approved, accepted, right? But if we want to do vikarma, if we want to think sinfully, if we want to desire sinful things, then that is misuse of our free will. And but still the super soul will still fulfill the desire, just like, if a child is making a lot of noise saying that, okay, I want chocolate, and father might say, no, it's not good, your teeth will get spoiled, etc., but he's still persistent. Then if he's a father who will go and get the chocolate ultimately, right? So super soul fulfills the desire. So it's what is very important is the what we desire for, right? While if we desire, it's not like we have the power to fulfill it, but the super soul, being a friend, mercifully he will fulfill. Now in also a example of two birds is given, Mundaka Upanishad, Shvetashvatara Upanishad. So here there's a very interesting statement. Prabhupada said, though both the birds are friends, one is master and the other is servant. Now how can there be two relations simultaneously? They're friends, but then one is a master and the other is a servant. So this is the beauty of all the rasas with Krishna. While Krishna is the Supreme Lord, there is still a situation of one being the master and the other being the servant, and but the relationship is so intimate. So this master and servant relationship is not like that of the material world, right? So there is, each one is a well-wisher of the other. Servant wants to serve the master, master is the well-wisher of the servant, and the relationship is like that of friends. It is of goodwill and wishing to please the other. And of course, Prabhupada elsewhere in other purports also says, like, the relationship between between the jiva and the Supreme Lord is very sweet and transcendental. The devotee always wants to serve the Lord is also always looking for opportunities to do serve the devotee. So there's a mutual relationship of love that exists, right? So though there one is master and the other is servant, from a position of one being supreme, the other being infinitesimal, but they are still friends. And Prabhupada said, forgetfulness of the relationship of master and servant is the cause of this bondage. So we've forgotten this relationship. So we've just ignored Krishna all along, right? And then Prabhupada says, Jiva is struggling hard, but as soon as he agrees to accept the other bird as the supreme spiritual master. So we have to agree, like Arjuna did. Arjuna agreed. And so Krishna, smiles, saying, oh, okay, my friend has now become my disciple. But that is willingly, voluntarily Arjuna surrenders. So we have to voluntarily surrender unto Krishna. Like Prabhupada says, it can either take a moment or it can take lifetimes. But that is volunteer surrender, and that is based on our willingness, our desire. But if we turn towards the Lord and know His glories means He's the Supreme Lord, He's in control of everything, we are His servant, and really we are the Atma and we are qualitatively one with the Lord. So actually we have nothing to do with material anxieties anyway, right? But even if in addition to that, the Lord is so supreme, so powerful, so glorious, that once we know his glories and we know that we are not different from him in qualitatively, then we actually very easily we should become free from all anxieties and we should become free from all lamentations. But unfortunately this is so difficult to understand and accept, right? While we have heard this, I am not body, I am spirit, soul, like we discussed yesterday, soul is qualitatively one with the Lord, right? So ideally we should not have any anxieties connected to the body in this material world, but we have not completely come to that and that is the stage of self realization. Then we completely realize that we don't belong to this material world, that we are actually foreigners. So one should not lament for this body and bodily changes, whether it is temporary or permanent change, like in death or whatever, right? So we should not lament for body. And this message comes so emphatically across in these verses. And so many people are anxious or fear, full of fear because of this corona, etc., etc. And these things are actually for meditation. Like we have to deeply meditate on these, because when we fill ourselves with knowledge of coming from Krishna, especially the Atmagnan, we actually become relieved at that point of time. But then soon our forgetfulness takes over and we forget that knowledge. So, at least one practice I do very regularly for my own hell I use is that I make a cheat sheet. I make a sheet and wherein I write some of these very critical statements from the Shastra, which actually, when we read them, we feel, very calm and relaxed and composed and happy, etc. Right? So that because when we again get into the same anxiety, we should read these statements again, right? And then we will again enjoy the same peace of mind and happiness, etc. Right? Because these are, I call them gems, Prabhupada's gems, right? These are invaluable statements that Prabhupada puts in his purport are invaluable. They can change our life if we actually meditate on those, right? And this is meditation on Krishna and devotees' instructions. Actually, means that that is another way of to be for us to be in Krishna consciousness. So, beautiful purports. Please, the idea of these small podcasts also is. To kind of create that, to motivate us to deep diver deep dive deeply into Srila Prabhupada's purports. It's not that uh, we can get to the bottom of these purports, but to whatever level of our surrender, to that extent this knowledge can become revealed to us. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.